Hello and welcome back to Conan Exiles, and we're going to do a quick canter through the developers update that took place today, early this afternoon, on Thursday the 15th of November. And this is for Chapter 3 of the Age of War. And right from the start I'll say that we all had thought that this update, Chapter 3, would be the last update to Age of War, but there's actually going to be a fourth chapter, coming at some point. So from now on, the new ages will have 4 chapters rather than 3 for whatever reason. The other thing to say is that the chapter is going to be launched on December the 14th, so watch out for it then. And if you're a PC player, you can actually play it on the public beta. So what you want to do is go to the public beta client on Steam and download that. All useless to me, obviously, as a PlayStation player, but never mind. And while I remember, I should tell you that at the end of this update, there's going to be like a short film. It's called Hyborian Discoveries, and it's like a little travelogue stroke nature documentary that Funcom have put together, and it shows you the sights of the new river, and it's actually really good. But that's at the end of this video. Now the big development in Chapter 3 is the introduction of PvE raiding. So up to now the Stygians have been raiding our camps, but now we can go out and raid theirs, or at least we've got one camp to raid, and that's a large Stygian keep that's been built on the ruins of El Morea. And that's a settlement, well that used to be an old Dogs of the Desert settlement, just east of Mekmosis' Spire. And that's on the Conan Exiles main map. Unfortunately there's nothing on Sipta at the moment. There's a lot of other developments from Chapter 3 that you can do on Sipta, but this isn't one of them, I'm afraid. However, they are having obviously to have some sort of raidable Stygian base on Sipta at some point in the future, and they will be adding other bases as they go on. But at the moment we've only got the one, and the idea is that we collect all our siege equipment, we've got explosives, we've got the handheld battering rams and the trebuchets, and we use those to bash down the doors of the Stygian camp and then fight our way inside till we meet a 3-skull boss and defeat them. So the idea is that it's going to be like an above ground dungeon, and if you're worried about running out of things like siege equipment like battering rams and explosive jars etc, you will find those inside the fort as well, so you can keep on going. Now the footage you're watching at the moment isn't really true to life. This is like a watered down version of a raid that the devs have put together just to illustrate the point. When players actually invade this keep, it's going to be full of people. There's going to be like an army inside, but for this display there's just like a handful of defenders. So in that sense the keep is very, very powerful. In another sense it's slightly less powerful in that I think a lot of the building pieces have got lower health than normal. And that's just so, breaking down the doors etc, smashing down walls doesn't take too long. Funcom are trying to make this a fun experience rather than a horrific grind trying to get in the damn place. Anyhow, the keep is enormous. It looks pretty good fun, I must say. There's going to be loads of loot inside, and the 3-skull boss at the end is meant to drop some, fairly spectacular treasure. Although we didn't see any spectacular treasure in this demonstration, but we are promised worthwhile loot when it's launched properly. Other things that are going to be introduced into Chapter 3 are archer posts, and archer posts are things that, you put down, attach an archer to, and then that archer is stuck there. They won't stray from that position. Because at the moment, if someone attacks your base, the archers might let off a few arrows, then they pick up their melee weapons and attack. But using these posts, you can make sure they stay stuck in one place. And apparently, and I hadn't realised this, something similar already exists for door guards. So you can put some sort of post next to a door and attach a guard, and the guard won't move away from the door. And I remember them talking about that in a previous update, but I didn't realise that had been introduced. So I'll have to look into that. But it's all exactly the same principle. You put down a post, attach a thrall to it, and then they won't shift. Or at least they won't shift very far. Another fun little innovation is the fire cauldrons, because you can now attach thralls to those. And the thralls will automatically sense enemies attacking and try and empty out their cauldrons of burning pitch onto your attackers. So you don't have to do it manually yourself. You can just attach a thrall and let them get on with it. So that will be very handy indeed. I'm sure you'll agree. Another development from Chapter 3, which I had no idea about really, was taverns. In Chapter 3, you're going to be able to build yourself your own pub, essentially. And to build a pub, or a tavern, I should say, the first thing you have to do is go out on a purge and rescue a barkeeper. So you rescue a barkeeper, take them back to your base, and then they teach you how to build a tavern. And the tavern we're seeing here is, I think, a skin that you can buy in the bazaar. So you can build your own tavern, but if you want a fancy one like this, you've got to pay for it. But I did notice there are all sorts of like tavern accessories in the battle pass, but we'll look at those in a little bit more detail later on. Once you've built your tavern, and I think this is a great innovation, once you've built it, NPCs will just wander in and start drinking. And the idea is that you can actually speak to these characters and then use gold to hire them. So you don't have to go out kidnapping thralls anymore. You just build your bar, they wander in, you chat them up, pay them some money, and then they're on your side, which is jolly good fun. And there's also going to be like special guests, because it's like the barkeeper's got their ear to the ground, the barkeeper's got their own contacts. And if you go out into the world and rescue a character like Isaac the Sellsword, that becomes one of your barkeep's contacts. Then you can pay gold for that character to sit in your bar and be a resource. So for example, Isaac will sell you siege equipment and mercenaries and things like that. But I think what's going to happen is that the developers are going to start creating these like significant characters that you can go out and rescue in the world. Then they become barkeeper contacts, and then you can pay to actually have them sit in your bar and make what use of them you will. Although at this stage, none of these people will, follow you or fight for you. They just hang around drinking. But that sounded really, really interesting. I'm just wondering if you could have someone like the princess as a barkeeper contact that you could have hanging around your pad. And I suppose the idea is that the barkeep will also tell you of people who need rescuing. So essentially the tavern is going to become like an information source, as well as a source of NPC chums. But it's not just going to be fighting thralls you can pick up in the tavern. There's also going to be crafters, and there's going to be a chance of actually picking up some very high value people, apparently. Let's take a quick look at the battle pass and the bazaar. The bazaar is going to be full of more dungeon items. So you have this racking table and this suspended cage, which is charming, I'm sure you'll agree. And there's also going to be spiral staircases, which I was really interested in because I would love more spiral staircases in this game. But you're going to get them for your dungeon pieces, which I'm sure you'll be very pleased about. And there's also these lovely new vaulted ceilings you can get, which are very attractive indeed. We got some new pets. We got a pet elk, a new mount, a camel. I think it's quite widely known that we were getting a camel. And these are going to be like horses in that you can go out and find a camel foal in the wild and train it up. So camels are going to be part of the base game. You don't have to buy them in the bazaar. And presumably on Sipta, you'll still be able to buy camel foals, because there used to be a trader up on Castaway Island at the north of the map who would sell you a camel. And they didn't say so, but I'm guessing you'll still be able to buy them from him. Oh yes, they did mention that the camel would have, quite a bit of carrying capacity. So I think it's going to be like a third more capacity than a horse, for example. But I don't know if you're going to be able to put heroic treasure onto it. One of the problems with heroic treasure at the moment is that you have to carry them yourself. And I think the idea was that we would have pack animals that could carry them for us. Whether the camel will do that, I'm not sure. There's a few more pets as well. There's a bear, which is going to be part of the tavern set. Also a new cat. We also saw a brief glimpse of this guy wearing bandages. They didn't go into it too much, but in the bazaar apparently there is going to be like a Stygian medical set, a medical tent and various medical accoutrements, including this guy covered in bloody bandages, which did look quite fun I think, if a little bit gory. Here we get a closer look at some of the new armour pieces in the battle pass. The guy on the right is wearing the Veneer barkeep outfit. In the middle we've got a new Numidian archer who looks very nice I think. And on the left hand side is a Veneer tavern guard wearing a new set of heavy armour. And the battle pass is really stuffed to the gills with tavern stuff. So you've got barrels and bottles and all sorts. And you've got this really quite interesting emote called Pass Out, which is some poor bastard just falling over dead drunk. And there's also other more eclectic pieces that don't have anything to do with taverns at all, like this savage soothsayer armour. Anyhow, that was just a quick run through. I think I covered all the main points though. Remember, Chapter 3 is launching on December the 14th, so in just under a month's time. And we will be getting an extra 4th chapter of the Age of War, which I think is going to include some more specialised purges. At the moment all the purges are the same, but they talked about specialised purges. They didn't say what they were going to be about, but I'm going to assume it's going to be things like frost giants and things like that. Although they didn't say so, but I think it's possible that the nature of the purge might change depending where you've built your base. I mean, that sounds reasonable to me. Anyhow, I'll wrap it up there. Next up is Hyborian Discoveries, so enjoy that. I'll be back with you in a few minutes.
The exiled land is a harsh and dangerous place, and the vast desert area in the south, the Broken Highway, is no exception. Here you won't find much between the dunes of sand and forgotten ruins, besides rock and the occasional bush. But soon, dunes turn to jagged crags, pools of glittering water, and patches of lush greenery. It is in these patches that a mother shaleback builds and protects her nest. Aggressive in nature, she will do whatever it takes to protect her eggs. A nearby imp takes a chance. The mother comes out victorious and prepares for whatever else may come. The imps retreat into a nearby cave, Hanuman's grotto, giving shelter and safety to these once human and now deformed creatures. Twisted with corruption, they are unaware and indifferent to the beautiful crystals that adorn the cave walls and paths. Dive deep enough through the caverns, and there sits Hanuman the ape god, palms faced up and awaiting offerings. The demonic imps and the towering shalebacks are as deadly as they come. However, there are others who claim the most kills in the river. The mighty sharp-toothed crocodile, blending into the brown and green of the land, they have ambushed many unsuspecting travelers. And yet, even they cannot match the giant crocodile. Their name says it all. Exile travelers, take heed. 3 times the size of common crocodiles, this monster sports long, sharp teeth, a spiked tail, and jaws long enough to swallow an exile whole. With an abundance of water in such an arid climate, many peaceful creatures make their homes here, including rabbits and multitude of colorful fish swimming beneath the surface. Only an experienced hunter will know how to capture and kill these wild animals to make a meal and put the ever-persistent beast of hunger to sleep until it wakes up again. Though staving hunger and thirst isn't the only threat to those condemned here, quickly learning that to kill means to survive, those that made it this far can be extremely hostile to others around them. Here we see a Nordheimer, fresh from the desert and determined to make it through another day. He scans the camp, hoping to find something useful, before jumping into action and taking the 2 campers by surprise. Victory, but only by an inch. The Nordheimer celebrates his win, but even the hard-earned victory does not guarantee his safety. He needs to search for shelter. Quick-moving and turbulent, this imposing sandstorm blots out the sun and anything caught within it. Grains of sand picked up by the wind tears everything in its path to shreds, in minutes. Without shelter or the proper equipment, death is inevitable. The dark of night shrouds the oasis, as bonfires from various camps spark and give light. Skulker's End is home to arguably one of the most dangerous tribes in this area of the oasis. Those who accidentally wander onto Darfari land are unlikely to leave, and may instead find themselves on the dinner menu. By intent or coincidence, these cannibals guard the entrance to a dark and foreboding underground sewer, the Dregs. Many have tried, and many have failed to defeat the Abyssal Remnant, a giant serpent resting in a pool of acid. The desert, oasis, and mighty bluffs within it are full of wonder and secrets hidden in every corner. Join us next time when we explore and uncover more of the mysteries within the exiled lands.
Hello again, I really like that. I think it's excellent. Very pleased. And they're going to launch a whole series of these Hyborian Discovery videos, which is something I will look forward to, I must say. Did enjoy it. Anyhow, I hope you found this update useful. Hope to see you again for the next video. And until I do see you again, I shall say good night. Okay then, cheerio.